if you have a property and you have an opportunity to give back with that property, use it, because none of us are 100% occupied. We can carve out a few days for a family in need. So, and if you want to know how to do that, please reach out to me.
This is Spilling the Real Tea, a podcast by Sold in a Snap.
I want to set the stage for this particular episode for you guys. This particular story is very emotional. It's personal. And you may be wondering where the real estate part of this comes in, but I promise you, just hang in there with us. The payoff is definitely going to be worth it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spilling the Real Tea, a podcast by Sold in a Snap. Today, we're joined by my co-host today, Danielle Fleming. Thanks for being here, Danielle.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Danielle is the owner of Sold in a Snap, and we're super excited to have Dana Gage with us. Thank you for being here, Dana.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to talk today about short-term rentals with a purpose, how one mother uses short-term rentals to bring healing after loss. But before we do that, I want to talk about and say thank you to our sponsors. Today's sponsor is Sold in a Snap. This episode of Spilling the Real Tea is sponsored by Sold in a Snap. Sold in a Snap is Central Texas' premier real estate photography and marketing company, helping agents look incredible, stand out from the competition, and grow their business. We provide photos, tours, video, and marketing, everything that you need to market yourself and your listings with ease. We're leading the world in real estate tech, backed by all 5-star reviews, and we're different on purpose because your success is our mission. Want to save time while your clients and dominate your market? Visit soldinasnap.com and see how Sold in a Snap can elevate your business or your listing today. All right, let's dive into this, you guys. So Dana, first, before we get into everything, how did you get into this? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Well, I was raised in Oklahoma, but moved to Texas right out of college. Actually live in Fort Worth. But I ended up getting into Waco real estate in 2017. And it's a very winding road in terms of how I ended up here. My background professionally, I was in the media business. I was 25 years with Chicago Tribune Company. And ran a division for them out of Arlington, Texas. Wow. And so spent a lot of time on airplanes between here and Chicago. They were kind enough to let me do that work from Arlington. 2012, our lives completely turned upside down. I lost my 15-year-old son, Connor, to a preventable lake drowning. He went to a birthday party with another family, and he drowned in the lake that day. And he was a water bug, an excellent swimmer. We were lake people, but he lost his life. And that changed absolutely everything for us. Yeah. I'm married to a school teacher. He's a middle school teacher, and he's been doing it for a long time and loves it. And I have another son, Riley, who is a Baylor grad and lives here in Waco. So when we lost Connor, I quit my corporate job instantly. I mean, the thought of actually going and talking to people about cable television or television information, which was what our division did, I couldn't lift my head. Yeah. And that led to just a story that it's impossible to describe. Grief, particularly deep grief, like losing a child, it has a way of cutting through the clutter. Yeah. The things that don't matter at all. Mm-hmm. And the things that do matter more. Yeah. And that was our story. It's frankly one of the silver linings in grief is that you're able to see very clearly even though you are barely functioning. So the road that led me to Waco real estate, I really believe it was meant to be and ordained.
And so Connor really was kind of the catalyst for that. You mentioned a silver lining, and of course, I'm sure you do everything to have your son back. But in that space, you realize, okay, I need to rethink what's important, my priorities, my family, all those things. And so tell me, as you're going through that process, how does it change to kind of what led you here now? So in a space that says, I want to do something different with my life. I want to be more intentional with my actions and my hands.
That's the perfect question. Because suffering must have meaning. You got to make it count. And if suffering without meaning is just despair. And I had plenty of that. And it was, Connor was a freshman in high school when we lost him. And his big brother, Riley, was a junior in high school. And so when Riley made the decision to go to Baylor, which frankly we were thrilled because we lived in Fort Worth and we didn't want to be too far from him. The short story is in 2014 when Riley graduated, I did a long run. I stepped out of my door in Fort Worth and I ran to Waco, ran to Waco. And Connor died at Possum Kingdom Lake. And his story is connected to Waco because the Brazos is connected to Possum Kingdom. And after we lost Connor, I immediately started a nonprofit called the LV Project, which is really is still my primary gig now. I do real estate, but my son manages most of that. And the LV Project is really all about helping people live buoyantly.
And what does LNV stand for?
LV, well, it stands for Living and Loving and Life Vest, because Connor was 15 years old when he died. And my biggest mistake that day, this was the first and only time I had let Connor go to the lake with another family. Yeah. First and only time. We were lake people too. He was an excellent swimmer, and we had a little lake place out on Eagle Mountain Lake, and he knew the water, but we had a rule at our lake place, which was toe in, vest on. Even if you know how to swim well, you have to have a life vest on because lakes are murky and deep and unpredictable. And if something goes wrong in water, you're not going to be able to breathe. So life vests were always a must. And the biggest mistake in my life was not making sure that the family that he was with used life vests. And he did a jump from the top of the boat dock. He landed badly and he drowned. And so we started the LV Project because we learned that his story is so common. Drowning is the number one cause of accidental death for kids ages 1 to 4. Number one for kids ages 1 to 4. And most of those are happening in pools. Okay. But then there's this second spike in drowning, which very few people talk about. And that is ages 15 to 19. It's the number 2 cause of accidental death for kids at age 15 to 19. And most of those drownings are happening just like Connor's in open water. Mm-hmm. So, it's like we are very accustomed to safety measures, right? Like we buckle our seatbelts in a car in case, sure. we could be great drivers, but something can go wrong on the road. And we wear our helmets when we're on a ski slope. We wear our helmets on a bike trail. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's really odd in our country. We just aren't there yet in terms of protecting our kids and ourselves in open water. And in the state of Texas, 9 out of 10 who drown in open water are male, and 80% of them are over the age of 15. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So Connor was a statistic that was sadly way too common. So we founded the LV Project to battle that. And we've spoken all over the country, and we do a lot of work for water safety. But I just knew that, like you said before, Eric, about like reshaping my life. Like it could not just be about water safety. Yeah. It needs to be about water safety, but I think I would have lost my mind if all I did was walk around and tell people, wear your life vest. And I could hear Connor going, oh my word, Mom. Like, Mom, come on. Do more. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, shut up. The LV Project is about buoyancy on water, but it's also about buoyancy in life. And so we do projects that give people a lift in life. And, that takes shape in a lot of ways. In the early years, it was building a soccer field in Ghana for kids who'd been rescued, trafficked kids who had been rescued. We've sent shoes to Honduras. We've done tons of service projects locally.
I've seen some of those on social media.
Yeah, we now have loaner stations. We have 8 life vest loaner stations at local lakes. We just, after losing Connor, I just really, honestly, I couldn't even say the word drowning. I'm 13 years in now, and I'm
Still struggle. Yeah.
well, I'm better in terms of, the Lord's been good to me. He's healed me, and this real estate venture is one of the big reasons why. And I'm sorry, this is probably a long-winded answer.
No, this is great. Yeah.
So in 2014, Riley, my son, made the decision to come to Baylor, and it was a really turbulent time in my grief. It was 2 years, and, I don't know if you guys have heard this phrase, but you get past year 1, which is all the terrible firsts, and then year 2 hits, and you're like, I have to, this is my life now.
Yeah.
I have to do all this again. And I was born on a sunny day, everything in my life was great. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I had no complaints. I'd had grief and loss, but nothing like this. Sure. And so I ran to Waco, and I laid eyes on the Brazos for the first time since losing my son. And I had a beautiful group of friends who met me down by Jacob's Ladder, and we prayed, and we walked together the rest of the way to Buzzer Billy's, of all things.
Fine Waco establishment.
I'm not sure that was the best choice, but I do feel like this business, real estate, gave me something new to nurture. And I came down on August 31st of 2017, which was Connor's Heaven Day. And Riley was at Baylor, and I wanted to be with my son on his brother's day. And I was driving around on Clay Avenue waiting for Riley to get out of class, and there was a house that had gone up and down and up and down and up and down on the market. The sign had gone up, down, up, down, up, down. Well, it was up again. And so I called the name on the sign, which was Taylor Ratliff. Love her. She was with Magnolia Realty. And I said, hey, I want to look at this house. And she came over, and we walked in, and it was a complete disaster. I mean, horrible. It was not occupied. You could barely open the front door. And when you did open the front door, there was just stuff everywhere, old ovens and toilets, and the ceilings were caving in. And
was somebody living in it? You said it was not occupied.
It was not occupied.
But there was stuff in it.
There was stuff in it, and it was not taken care of. And I looked at that house, and I was like, this house looks like I feel.
Oh.
Wow.
Completely broken. And it was almost instantaneous. It was like, I'm going to bring this house back to life.
You're talking about yourself.
Yeah.
So when I met Dana, I met her in this house.
Yes.
Wow. So this is the house that...
Yeah. So I photographed it for her so that she could turn it into an Airbnb, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But she showed me the before pictures and shared this story with me that has been so impactful that, that's why we're sitting here today, because I was like, this is such a powerful story about changing yourself, making this space, changing the space, obviously, which improves the city as a whole, but, has been able to completely renovate more than a home.
Yes. It was pain to purpose, for sure. And I remember those pictures that you took, Danielle. Yeah. I was like, this girl goes hard. Like, she was like, laying on her back in the middle of 2 of our twin beds to get the perfect shot of my cool Sputnik chandelier. And it was hilarious. I was like, I just love how you approached the you took every unique angle. Like, you saw the beauty in that house.
I did. And I feel the beauty in that house too, because you can feel the love that goes into it more than some homes. And being in thousands of homes, right, having photographed them, you can feel the love and purpose in different spaces stronger than others, right? Like there's love in hopefully every home, but there's a different kind of love in that space, and you can see it and feel it. And so it actually is still one of the favorite houses that I've ever shot because it's beautiful, but it feels like the story, right?
That makes me happy.
Yeah. When I met you there, I was able, you showed me the before pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, you've done an amazing job. You've done an amazing job with this house. But you were talking about that, it felt like, it looked like how you felt, right? And so you obviously bought it, and then it took a long time to fix it up to that point. And you were, Riley did a lot of the work on that with you.
Yes, he did. So it was crazy because, and just another connection that it was meant to be is that day when I looked at it, I put an offer in on the spot, and I it's 2017, so the prices were not nearly what they are now. And I had just lost my father the year before we lost Connor. And then the year before we lost my father, I had lost my brother. Oh, my goodness. So it was 2010, 2011, 2012 was just horrible. Chaos. And, but I had sold my father's farm in Oklahoma that I was raised on. I'm a farm girl.
A little bit of money.
I had some money in the bank, and I was ready to pay cash, ready to do the whole thing for cash. And so I put an offer in that day, and Taylor called me that night, and she said, "You're not going to get this house." And I was like, "Oh, well, I didn't go to Waco today to buy a house anyway, so that's okay." And I said, "But I'm just curious, why not?" And she said, "Well, there's a guy the guy that owns it is in a dispute with his brother, and it's a probate dispute. And they can't agree on getting it sold." And that just went all over me because, here I have 2 boys, one in heaven, one here. Life is entirely too short to bicker with your brother.
You're like, this is pebbles.
It's
this
ridiculous,
is like small,
tiny little stupid nonsense. And so I just thought, well, so be it. Well, fast forward to January, Taylor calls me back. She goes, "You're not going to believe this." I was like, "What?" She goes, "There's a judge in Waco, and that whole probate thing has gotten really messy, and he ordered that property sold, and you are first in line, and you got the house." And I was like, "Oh!"
So how much time between your offer? 2 months, and you just like wrote it off, like it's not going to happen.
I didn't even, in fact, I didn't give it a second thought. I didn't even know the offer was still in play. And so about a week after I got the house, I got a call from a friend of mine who's in the water safety drowning prevention business, and she said, "Hey, there's a lady in Waco. She's lost her son to drowning as well, and she wants to do a PSA for Life Vests Wear, and they want to use Connor's story. Could you come meet her?" And her name's Kim Hodges. And I said, "Absolutely." So I go to Waco and I meet up with Kim, and we figure out the video and what we're going to do about that. And she was just the loveliest person. And I said, it's kind of like one of those lunch things, like you first meet somebody like Danielle, it's like, I don't want this to end. Like, I think you're so cool. And so I asked her, I said, "Hey, after we were done with our business, I said, do you want to come take a look at my fixer-upper?" And she goes, "Sure." And so we're driving over to it, and she's like, "Tell me about it." And I was telling her about it. And I said, "This awesome judge, I don't know who he is, but he ordered this property sold." And she goes, "Judge Hodges?" And her name is Kim Hodges. And she goes, "I am married to that judge."
Oh my gosh.
You are kidding me.
No, it was just so ordained.
That is
my gosh.
crazy.
Just a beautiful thing. So we get over there, and Judge Hodges, rest in peace. He just passed from ALS. But we,
Sorry.
Kim and I are great friends now, and that started the journey. And it was me, my Jeep, my 10-foot utility trailer, and a couple of guys. And every ounce of material that went into that Airbnb, I hauled it, I loaded it, I designed it, I created it. And because it was part of my path. Yeah. Every room that came together, that got painted, when the walls were coming down and I had this heap of broken wood in the back, it was like, yes, from broken to beauty, we're going to make this thing beautiful. And I hope we did. I think we did.
You did. It is a beautiful space.
So now
every part of it is designed so well. And I feel like there's purpose, right? You were able to take this broken down home and give it life and give it purpose and give it beauty that it just didn't have before. So you've got another home since then. You've picked up another Airbnb that's very close to that one on the same street. And they both kind of have the same vibe going. You've got them called Poppy and Rye Cottage and House. Right. And I know you've got 2 more in the works on their way. So tell us about how you Airbnb these and how that helps with the purpose of the LV project mission.
Yeah, it just quickly unfolded. We finished the first house in 2019, and that was a good time to be in the Airbnb business. Mm-hmm. The demand was very strong in Waco. COVID hit the next year, but the demand was strong and it was great. And, shortly after we lost Connor, a friend of mine said, I'm sending you to my property in Florida. You got to get out of town, because when you have lost a child, there's literally pain around every corner. Mm-hmm. The grocery store hurts. That's the place where he ran his first track meet. That's the place where the car,
everything.
There is not 1 ounce or one nook or cranny where that pain does not exist. It seeps into everything. It's like what C.S. Lewis says. Her absence is like the sky spread over everything. Mm. There's just nothing that Connor didn't touch. So my friend sent us to Florida, and we got out of town, and you know what? It helped. It was not, going to be a long-term solution, but it gave us just a little bit of sliver of light in a very, very dark time. And I always knew with these houses that I would do the same, that eventually I would do the same thing. So we created Poppy and Rye. Poppy is my dad. Like I said, I sold his farm to make this happen. And Rye is my son. Riley worked for Harp Design Co. all through college, fell in love with woodworking, he's a table maker, made so many of the pieces in that home from the broken wood, from the reclaimed wood that came out of the walls that we tore down. And so it's, we have my father's poems on the walls. Everything in that home is with intention. And so, yes, we now have Poppy and Rye House, which is the original Poppy and Rye Cottage, which is 2 doors down. We just purchased Poppy and Rye Bungalow, which is on Hubby Avenue, right off of Waco Drive. And we also have a midterm rental called Poppy and Rye Dragonfly, because dragonflies mean a lot to us in our grief journey. So with the LV project, we now host all expense-paid grief getaways for parents of child loss. And
of any kind, not just drowning.
Not just drowning.
Okay. And was this kind of pulled from that idea, like when you went to Florida, like, wow, this actually brought me into a different headspace, helped me kind of rethink and kind of move forward? And is that the same kind of idea that you're hoping to do for survivors?
100%. Yeah, because sometimes being at home is just like being in prison. you don't even have to go far away. I went to Florida, but like we have so many of our grievers that come from, Texas,
Yeah.
they're just hopping in a car and coming over. And we try to do this with all of our guests. We try to surprise and delight every single guest, from the time they open their car door to the time they, shut it. We want to create an experience for them that they will never forget. But with grievers, it's on steroids. So we have a liaison who works with that family who sends them information about, tell us what you want to do. Like, do you want to sit in the house and just eat pizza? Do you want to get out? Sometimes getting out is hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes seeing people enjoying their life, it's difficult, especially if you're a new griever. So we give them all kinds of options of things to do, everything from horseback riding at Brazos Bluffs to going out to eat or just having a night in, and we pay for all of it. We encourage our families to bring as many people as they would like, and we will take care of it. And we, in 2024, we did 10 getaways. In 2025, we will do a dozen. Oh, wow. And I think as our property portfolio grows, we'll just continue to be able to do more.
Now, how can people get involved with this? Like, is there a way that people can donate? Are there some websites, QR codes? Like, what's the best way that people can get involved?
Thank you for asking. You can go to our website, our nonprofit website, which is like the word THE, LV as in lifevestproject.org, and you'll see a link for grief getaways there. If you are a griever, or if you know a griever, someone who has lost a child, you can reach out to us and we can take it from there. You can also donate to the cause. So that's the best way to do it. And if you want to look at our properties just to see what we have, you can go to poppyri.com and you'll see it there.
Is that POPPYRI or
RYE?
RYE. Okay, so POPPYRYE.com.
Yeah,
okay.
We call Riley Rye, so that was just kind of a natural.
Okay. And I do want to ask a couple more things about the LV project. It's all here in Waco at this point in time? Yes. Do you have any local businesses that have been able to, that have wanted to get on board, maybe offering meals or, the Dr. Pepper Museum letting people come in for free or something like that? Yes,
the city of Waco, you got to give it to our city, right? People here care. And when you tell them what you're doing, they'll pony up. Magnolia has donated tours to us. We have had the Findery when they were around, which I miss them. Yeah. They would donate candles as gifts to our grievers. We have restaurants that have donated. Yeah, it just requires us going in and saying, hey, here's the deal. I have these tender souls coming through your doors. Can you help us out? And we get a yes.
Awesome.
Just about every time.
Yeah, well, maybe we can amp that up a bit and get like escape room and, some of these other places.
Yeah, if you are motivated to help donate anything, I would like to donate honey to each of the grievers.
Oh, my word. I've got a family coming in November. Okay. They would love that.
Well, I'll give a big thing and maybe I'll put a thing on it that says life can be sweet again.
That would be perfect. I love it, love it, love it.
I cannot even imagine going through that.
Well, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But I will say this, that we're all stronger than we know we are. And there have been many days when I've said, I'm not going to make it. But here I am, and it's not my strength, It's the strength that I get in my weakness, and it comes from a much higher place than here. So we're very lucky in that. I feel really lucky because these houses give me a place to put my pain. It's a selfish thing too. It helps me because, like I said, you either make your suffering count or you don't. and you stay chained to the grave forever. And that would be a very easy thing to do. But, my dad, who's Poppy, he wrote all this poetry after my mother died. My mother died of cancer when I was 29. And when they were a great couple, and when Mom died, the poems just flowed out of him. He was a writer and a journalist and a farmer and a college professor. He did a lot of things. But there's 2 poems that we put in every single property that we have. And one is called Happiness. And can I recite it for you?
Yes, please.
And this is how we treat our guests, right? This is what we think of when we think of our guests, whether they're grievers or whether they're just passing through it with their families. But it goes, making you happy makes me happy. And if making me happy makes you happy, I will be happy because you are happy. And you will be happy because I am happy. So my prayer would be that you're happy today, and the day after today. And if perchance a day passes by when darkening clouds cover your sky, it's then I will do my level best to pave your rocky road with happiness. And so that happiness poem, you remember it because you photographed it. It's front and center on our properties.
Dana, I can't tell you how great this conversation's been. And I really just want to thank you personally about your transparency. I can't imagine the grief that you have been through. And certainly we've all felt a piece of that in different ways. But as a mother, I can't imagine what you went through. So I, first of all, want to commend you on your ability to transform that grief. It's not an easy thing to do, and what you're doing with that is just incredible. But I wanted to leave you with the last few words, and I want you to just give us some takeaways on some things that, not only you've been able to build this, but it also has become something that has given you the ability to be comfortable and make money, and also be a legacy for your child.
Yeah. No, we feel so lucky. I mean, the Airbnb business is fabulous in so many ways. I mean, you get to host people that are making memories as families in your home, and we believe a spirit of restoration flows through our homes, and we feel really, really blessed and lucky that we get to play a small part in their story. And that they've taken an interest in our story. And we have people who come back. Once they come back. I have a group of ladies from College Station that have stayed with me 8 times. Wow. Like I'm their place. And it's because of the spirit that flows through the homes. Mm-hmm. The story matters, and it's a beautiful thing. We don't have just generic homes. We have a story. We have an experience. And, as a result, there's value in that. And we make money. It's been a blessing, not only emotionally in my grief journey, but it's also been just a financial blessing, mm-hmm. because the money that we make from our rentals helps us fuel our grief getaway mission forward. Mm-hmm. And so it's when you work with purpose and you build with purpose and you create purpose in your homes, it gets returned to you. Mm-hmm. And we just try to keep the circle moving, keep it moving forward.
Right. Thank you so much. So like you said, you don't have to have 100% of the people in the house is someone who's with your mission, right? That you're serving someone who's gone through that grief. Other people who have Airbnbs can choose to do just even a few times a year, host someone, yes. or not even host someone, but to take that money and donate toward the cause.
It's honestly a dream of mine, Danielle, mm-hmm. that this doesn't have to be exclusive to Poppy and Rye. Mm-hmm. I would be delighted if there were other homeowners Airbnb operators in Waco that would say, hey, we want to donate our home for a grief getaway. I have a waiting list right now.
So how do you choose?
Well, it's difficult because, it's basically first come, first serve. We basically just, as the openings come up, we'll funnel the family to that opening. So, if you have a property and you have an opportunity to give back with that property, use it, because none of us are 100% occupied. We can carve out a few days for a family in need. So, and if you want to know how to do that, please reach out to me, dana.gage@thelvproject.org, or just go to the lvproject.org website and fill out the form, and I will help, make that happen.
Yeah. And if you're listening or watching and you want to come to Waco, because it is a cool place to come visit, consider staying at Poppy and Rye, because they, are going to be able to, you'll have a great experience. The houses are so dang cute. And Dana does really care for every person that comes through there. But then, that helps fund this mission. So
yes, it does.
So either way, if you feel moved to help, or if you have your own cause and your own Airbnb, consider using that to, help fund your own mission. The point here, I think, is that real estate, and in this specific, instance, Airbnbs, can be about so much more than just making money, flipping things, or, owning things, but to have it with purpose.
Yeah.
So.
Those Airbnbs are part of your guest's story.
Yeah.
In a big way, in a much bigger way than a hotel.
Yeah.
So it means a lot when you have a hurting family and you can help them out.
Well, you guys, this actually is a perfect segue into this week's tip of the week, actually, which is exactly what you just said. So this week's tip of the week is when designing a short-term rental, focus on purpose over profit. Thoughtful details, comfort, peace, a story, all that can transform a simple stay into something meaningful for your guests and your brand. And I think you guys wrapped it up perfectly in that space. And Dana, I just want to, again, personally thank you for being on the podcast today. I'm inspired by you. I'm in awe by the work that you've done. And
thank you for all that, sorry to jump in, but thank you for all that you do. Who knows how many people you've helped and how many people you've saved from the work that you've done to be able to get the word out, to let people know, to protect their loved ones, right? With life jackets, down you can use for free at Lake Waco because of some of the loaner stations that she's put in. And I know there's a lot of other things that you've done. So thank you for turning your grief into purpose.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been so fun.
And if you guys, if you want to connect with Dana, definitely check out poppyrye.com and for their Airbnbs, but also the LV Project. And we'll link all those in the show notes below, and make sure that if you do want to connect, we will get you guys in touch. So
sounds great. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much for coming.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Once again, we wanted to thank our sponsors for this episode, which is Sold and Snap. Sold and Snap is Central Texas' premier real estate photography and marketing company, helping agents look incredible, stand out from the competition, and grow their business. We provide photos, tours, video, and marketing, everything that you need to market yourself and your listings with ease. Thanks for tuning in to Spilling the Real Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. We've got plenty more insider tips, stories, and strategies brewing, so stay connected and keep your cup full.
And that's today's pour. Thanks for spilling the real tea with us. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next hot pour of real estate talk. And remember, this is just the tea, not legal, real estate, or financial advice.